Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be trying a new product that I have been waiting to review for you guys, and I finally got it. And actually the product is not new. The color is new. It's the Smashbox X Becca Brightening Under Eye Corrector. Most of you probably know earlier this year Becca announced they were closing, but that Smashbox would be selling a few of their best-selling products, and one of them was the under eye corrector. And not only did they bring it back, but they brought 2 additional shades for a total of 4, and I am trying out one of them for you. This one is the shade medium, and if you're new here, my name is Blair. I love to do all kinds of makeup content, drugstore and high-end, here on my channel, but I love to try new color correctors because I always have darkness under my eyes. Always, always, always. So I'm constantly looking for the best under eye corrector, and I'm so excited to share my first impression of this new color with you guys. So if you're interested in the new Smashbox Becca color corrector in the shade medium, please keep watching and let's go ahead and get into it. Today we're going to be trying the new-ish, I guess, Becca under eye corrector from Smashbox. So a lot of you probably know earlier this year Becca announced they were closing, and a few months ago Smashbox or Becca, the two of them, announced that Smashbox would be reproducing and selling Becca's most loved products, and the under eye corrector was one of them. So I actually had this product the first time when Becca was still a brand, and I had the light medium shade. I have it right here. My issue with this was always the shade. It was never that I didn't like the product, but this light medium shade, hopefully you can tell, is very, very light. I mean, it's almost, I would say it's almost pink. More pink than it is peach, which is kind of more of a correcting tone typically. Every time I used this, I felt like my under eyes looked kind of white, and that's why I wasn't crazy about it. They had a light medium, which is what I have, and then they had medium dark. Now they have fair light, which looks like this one, medium, which is the one that I ordered, medium dark, and then dark. So they added 2 additional shades. They added medium and dark, which they definitely needed to do. That's always been my #1 issue with this, is the colors. So I'm gonna get out my new one here. So this retails for $32, which I believe is the same price it was before. Packaging looks very, very similar. So we have the new one over here and the older one over here, but very, very similar. I was actually looking on the back here, and it looks like the old corrector had 0.16 ounces and this one has 0.15. So the new one has like slightly less product, but it's about the same. And I will swatch the old light medium on my hand so you can see. So there is the original corrector in light medium. So as you can see, it is very, very fair. So it's going to depend on what you're wanting from this product. If you are mainly wanting brightness and you are a fair skin tone, or even my skin tone, this color might work for you because this is, to me, just a brightener. It doesn't do a whole lot in terms of correcting darkness because it's so, so light. If you want something that actually corrects these bluish purple tones, in my opinion, you're going to need something a little bit darker than this. Okay, so now I'll swatch the new one so you can see it in comparison to the old one. So here is what the shade medium looks like. I'll swatch them for you in a second, side by side, but you can see the newer one, that's the shade medium, is a lot deeper than the light one. So there is the medium shade. There is the light medium from the original corrector. So you can see there's a huge difference. To me, this looks peach, this looks more pink, but that's just my opinion. I feel like this new one is gonna work better for me. Every single time I use the original one, I love the texture. It gives really great pigment, really great coverage, but it just looks too white under my eyes. I like my under eyes to more so match the rest of my face than be a whole lot lighter. So I'm really excited to try this out. I applied just my normal eye cream that I always use today, which is the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Eye Cream. And it's kind of had, I would say, like 10 or 15 minutes to kind of set down. And that's the only thing I have on my face, other than I did do my eyebrows. All right, so we're gonna go into the new corrector in shade medium, and I'm gonna use this. This is also from Smashbox, actually. It's their Precision Concealer Brush. It's just a really small, flat brush. This is the kind of brush I typically like to use under my eye. I just feel like it's a really good shape and you can really place the corrector where you want it. Something else I did want to point out is I think the formula on this feels, to me at least, like the exact same formula as the original. So I don't think they changed it. It doesn't stick out to me if they did. So we'll go into my right eye first. And I typically kind of apply a little bit on my inner corner and then come down slightly and bring it over. Oh yeah, I can already tell this is going to be a lot better. So I typically focus mine there, and then whatever is left, I usually bring it out on my outer corner because this area is always pretty dark. I can already tell this color is, I guarantee you, gonna work a lot better than the light one. So I let that sit for about a minute, and I'm gonna blend this out a little bit with this brush. This is the AOA Studio E104. It's just a little fluffy kabuki type brush, and I'm just basically gonna tap this to blend it out. You could definitely use your finger for this. I just honestly prefer to use a brush. I don't know why. I'm not the biggest finger person when it comes to concealer and corrector. I just feel like I like how a brush applies and blends things just a little bit better. Can you see how that corrects the darkness? This is way, way better than the Fairlight shade. Unless you're just wanting to brighten. If you're just wanting to brighten, you might really like the Fairlight in the new formula. But for me, I like something just a little bit deeper, a little bit peachier to really correct before I go in with my concealer. Something else I wanted to show you is this. So this is one of my, this is like my holy grail corrector, and it's Bobbi Brown, and it's in the shade Bisque. So I'm gonna show you what this one looks like compared to the Becca. So here's the difference. The Bobbi Brown is definitely, I would say, slightly lighter, not as much of an orange tone as the medium. Hopefully you can see they're similar, but this Becca one is definitely more orangey, whereas the Bobbi Brown is a little more peachy. So I'll see if I can swatch the Bobbi Brown next to this so you can see. So there is Bobbi Brown in Bisque. There is the Becca in medium, and that is the light medium in the original. So you can see there's a pretty big difference. The new one from Becca is definitely the deepest one, and then the Bobbi Brown, and then the original Becca. So mainly with corrector, to me, the main thing is the color. It's not so much which corrector. I mean, it makes a difference, but the color is what's really going to make a difference. So it depends on if you have a deeper skin tone, if you have a lighter skin tone, if you have brown darkness, if you have blue purple darkness, that's what's going to dictate what color works the best for you. So like, this is another corrector I use a lot. This is Charlotte Tilbury Magic Vanish. This is the shade medium. And to me, it looks the most similar, I would say, to the Bobbi Brown. The Becca one definitely has a little bit more of that orange tone to it. So there is Bobbi Brown and Charlotte Tilbury. They look very similar. And then here is Charlotte Tilbury and the new Becca. So you can see, again, the Becca just has more orange to it. So honestly, the Becca one is probably a little bit dark for me. It just doesn't match my actual skin tone as well, but it helps with the darkness, if that makes sense. So for me, what I have found with correctors like this is typically if you're wanting to correct darkness, you don't really want to match your skin tone. A lot of times you want to go a little bit darker so you can correct the darkness, and then you can go in with a lighter concealer if you want. But to me, unless you just want to brighten and you have no darkness, you could go in with the light corrector right away. But if you do have darkness, you're going to want to go with something a little bit darker than your skin tone and then use your concealer on top. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of a weird concept, but okay, we're gonna do the other side now. This side is definitely my darker side of the two. And then I will take what's left and bring it out here. All right, while I'm letting that kind of sit for a second, I want to show you one more comparison of a corrector. So this in the middle here is the Nars Radiant Creamy Corrector in medium. This is the Becca in medium. So you can see the Nars medium is a lot deeper. It still has that orange undertone to it, but it's not nearly as dark as the Becca medium. So that's where it gets kind of tricky. You have to figure out what depth and what color is going to work best for your darkness. And then I will also show you the Nars Radiant Creamy Corrector in light, which is there. And that is the Becca, the original Becca. So see, the original Becca you can hardly even see. The Nars in light is a little bit darker. So to me, the Nars in light really compares in terms of color to this new Becca in medium. So that's just, hopefully that's helpful. I know choosing corrector colors can be kind of tricky, but anyway, I'm gonna go in and tap this out. One thing I like about the Becca corrector that is different than really any of my other correctors, and I remember noticing this with the original Becca corrector too, it has almost a little bit of a reflective quality to it. It almost kind of reminds me of this eye cream from Ole Henriksen. It gives like a brightening, almost a pearly kind of look under your eyes, which personally I like, especially if you have darkness. Anything you can do to kind of brighten it up a little bit, I feel like is flattering for under your eyes. So that is something I wanted to point out. It's definitely got a little bit of a pearlescent look to it, but in a good way. So you can see this is obviously deeper than my actual skin tone. But if you think about it, like if you put something lighter like this over something that's darker like this, that's under my eyes, this blue purple tone, the darkness is always going to shine through because you're putting something light over something that's dark. So you're always going to see that darkness coming through underneath. That's why I say it's better to use something a little bit darker than the color you're trying to correct and then go in with something lighter. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but that's how I understand it at least. But to me, in terms of correcting, I know it looks crazy right now because I have no other makeup on my face, but in terms of correcting, this looks good. I think when I put concealer over the top of this, all of that darkness I had will immediately go away. So we'll see what happens when I put concealer over the top of this. But I really like the finish. I can definitely see that like luminous pearly kind of look. Another thing I could really do, to be honest, I don't really love this look, so I probably wouldn't, but you could even do this corrector first and then go in with just a little bit of the lighter one over top if you had the light medium or the fair light. I just personally don't love that bright white look under my eyes, but that's just a personal preference. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of concealer over the top and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so I'm gonna use a concealer that I know that I love. I love the color, I love the consistency, and I know nothing weird will happen with it because I've tried it a ton of times, and I'm gonna use the One Size Beauty Buttersilk concealer in the shade Light number 3. This is probably my favorite concealer right now, to be honest. So you can see this more closely matches my actual skin tone. So I'm gonna use my favorite concealer brush, which is my Sigma F03. This is pretty much the only concealer brush that I ever use. I'm obsessed with it, so I'm just tapping it. Okay, I know it looks weird because I have no other makeup, but the darkness, gone. So you guys can see it definitely corrected that darkness under my eyes. It'll be even more obvious when I put the rest of my makeup on, but to me, this is what I personally want in a corrector. I like something a little bit darker, a little bit peachier, not something so bright and pink. So excited I was able to try this. I didn't know when these were coming out. I saw it on Instagram a little while ago, but then I was on Sephora a few days ago and I saw that these were out and you could order them. So I'm really excited about this, but I'm gonna go ahead and put on the rest of my makeup and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I did the rest of my makeup and I wanted you to see what the under eyes look like now that I have concealer and everything else on my face. So hopefully you can see that corrector combined with the One Size Beauty concealer totally knocked out the darkness under my eyes, 100%. So if you are similar skin tone to me, I'm like, I would say an NC 25 in MAC, kind of between NC 20 and NC 25. And you have similar darkness to me, like blue, purple tones, you might want to check out this one in medium from Becca. I know it looks kind of scary, and it looks scary when you first apply it, but once you put the rest of your makeup on, it really does correct the darkness really well. If you are just wanting to brighten and you don't have a lot of the blue purple tones under your eyes, then this light medium, or now it's fair medium, would probably work fine for you. It just kind of depends on what you're wanting. And then if you're deeper skin tone than me, they do now have the medium dark and the dark for even darker complexions, which I think is fantastic. They needed to add these two shades, and I personally love how this looks. I think if you are someone worried about adding an extra layer under your eyes, like you're worried it'll look too dry or too cakey, you would probably really like this Becca corrector because it really has that luminous quality to it. It almost kind of reminds me of this from Milani, the supercharged brightening under eye tint, but this has a lot less pigment, a lot less coverage. So this is not going to cover everything. It's not very thick, it's very thin, but the finish of it looks kind of like this. It's just this would be for less coverage, this would be for more coverage, but the finish is very pretty. It has that, the only way I can think to describe it is it's a pearlescent kind of look. You can even kind of see it if you look close in the packaging. It just has a very pearly, is the only way I know to describe it, but it's very pretty under your eyes. And so far, I'm really, really happy with this. I'm so happy that they added these extra shades. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. I will leave any updated comments in the description box if anything changes, but as of right now, I love how this looks. I think it looks fantastic under my eyes and with concealer on top. So I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here on YouTube. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair01. I'll see you guys next time. Remember, simply be you.